Welcome everybody to the Impact Influence Show. Our first guest today is Fatima Doman, and she is the CEO and founder of Authentic Strengths Advantage. And she has been an author, she's been a coach, and in fact she's worked with Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies. She's traveled the world as an executive coach. Also a new author of this brand new book. In fact, she's brought it today. This is the first one. It's just fresh off the presses, if you will. We just got this printed and sent to us, and it's a kid's book. And of course this is her first book called Authentic Strengths. And she's going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to have Fatima talk a little bit about all that you've done, particularly when it comes to schools and students. In the area of suicide prevention, bullying, and even addiction issues. Talk about your program a little bit and how it's proactively, preventatively worked with these students.
So our program is based on the new science of positive psychology, and there are actually over 350 global research studies that show that when people use their strengths of character, that when they first discover them and learn how to use them, that resilience goes up. And resilience is a big factor in addiction prevention and suicide prevention, bullying prevention. So that's really our focus, is to help develop resilience in children and adults and communities at large.
Yeah, there's so many layers to addiction, right? And suicide prevention and things like that. You definitely take more of that proactive, preventative approach. Talk about a student perhaps that has really made a difference, has seen these principles and has truly changed their life. Do you have, I'm sure, a few examples, maybe many examples?
We have a lot of really fun stories, and I'll just share a couple of them. So we teach this content K through 12 in schools. We also,
right here in Park City, but all around the country.
And around the world, really.
Fantastic.
And
wow.
Also we're teaching this in universities. A couple of universities have asked to use this book, as a textbook. So the message is spreading. And a couple of stories from little kids. So a couple of, I believe they were third graders. The teacher, they were out on recess and noticed that they were sitting cross-legged and just sitting really quietly. And she went up to these two boys and said, "Hey, why aren't you out there playing soccer with the other kids?" And they said, "We got into an argument and we did with the training, the authentic strength stuff. They say, stop and breathe and calm down." And they were meditating. These three.
Wow. That's impressive. Third graders, that's really impressive. Wow. I wasn't doing that in third grade, so I'm really impressed. I didn't have your book.
Isn't that so cool?
That's impressive, actually.
And then here's another story that is really wonderful. So at one high school, some football players came in and talked to one of the counselors and said, "Hey, we're worried about one of our team members. He talks about suicide."
Wow. Okay.
And so they kind of did this intervention. I believe there were 4 students that came in and expressed concern, and they got together. They went in together and
that's impressive.
Wanted to help their friend.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that all the different things you do, one of the things you do is actually work with addiction issues, right? The opioid addiction actually, as a whole, is a national crisis now, right? The opioid addiction problem is just all over our country. And as I understand it, schools have actually taken your curriculum to use it specific for that addiction issue. Why do you think it's been so successful? Why do you think schools are wanting to adopt this into these situations?
I think they're looking for evidence-based programs, first of all. And then secondly, I think they want to help develop that resilience that I talked about earlier, and also use this for character development. It doesn't mean that an addict does not have character, but there are strengths of character that will help a potential addict or an addict to overcome. There are strengths of character that help them to be more resilient in the midst of it all. So some strengths that are highly correlated are strengths like kindness to self, honesty with self and others, forgiveness of self and others. And often, as I was talking with your next guest, Roy, a lot of addiction, and he's a recovering addict, is related to trauma.
Sure.
So adverse childhood experiences, as we know, are correlated with addiction. Mm-hmm. So if we can teach resilience tools to children so that they, in essence, have a stress inoculation and they can better overcome these adverse childhood experiences, we, in essence, have provided a form of prevention, even if it's just one facet of prevention. And that's why the DEA, I've shared these materials with them.
Impressive. They've actually got their seal right here on the back. Very impressive, actually, yeah. Well, okay, so parents may be watching this, and they may have a teen, they may have a student that they're starting to see signs of maybe either suicidal tendencies, or maybe they're talking about, their teens talking about suicide, and or they're experiencing bullying at their school, or maybe some addiction issues. What advice would you give to parents if they are watching this show and they're like, I need to talk to Fatima and figure out what this book is and what it's all about?
So first of all, these things are happening at an alarmingly younger rate. I was just talking to parents this past week who have 8 and 9-year-olds who are being bullied, and who are really depressed and experiencing anxiety. So mental health issues are significant and they need to be addressed at younger ages. So that's one piece of the puzzle. But I also want to say that, as you said, what can a parent do? I think truly being present, being vigilant, paying attention to your child's mood fluctuations, paying attention to the signs that the child may be displaying, and paying attention to the friends that they're interacting with. Just be present as you possibly can be. And I know so many of us are full-time working parents, but there are things that we can do to really focus on our children and to provide resources, and also, stay abreast of all of the new information and the tools. And this book in particular is a book that parents can read to children, and it's a book that you can teach your children about their 24 strengths of character. And these are all discoverable on our website. And I think you're going to share how to take the free survey.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, okay, if you're watching and they want to find out, tell them what website should they go to? How can they get in contact with you? Find out a little bit more about this book.
Right.
Of course, Amazon.com is going to be carrying this, so you can check out the book. Right.
Right. It's already up for pre-order, and this one's on Amazon as well. And what you can do, you can go to AuthenticStrengths.com. and scroll down the landing page. You'll find an orange bar that says Take the Free Strengths Survey. And just click on that. It takes about 10 minutes to take the free survey. You will get a free 2-page report. And there's a report that can be created for an adult or for a child. So for you adults out there, you probably would really enjoy learning your unique strengths profile as well.
Yeah, and so this is kind of the specialty. If you're watching today, there is a special offer. So you just go to our website and find a little bit more information. And otherwise, we just encourage them to check out what she's doing, all the good work you're doing. Thank you again for being on the show. Thanks for what you're doing to make a difference and starting early to be preventative and proactive before things begin worse.